This event, though, we have 2 Japanese, 2 Australians, there's a couple of Canadians as well, 1 British athlete, a couple of Chinese as well. The Chinese also pretty strong as well in this event, although you have to go back a while to find anybody who's taken a title in the 10,000 meters. Almazayana, the world record holder at the moment, in that incredible time that she set at the Rio Olympic Games just 3 years ago. Universiadi record was set back in Duisburg in 1989 by the Romanian Viorica Aplaja. That's the Ugandan. Knight Asiru. That is the full lineup for you then, with Jenny Nesbitt from Great Britain, Masuki Sakaya of Japan. Fastest in the field is Sakaya from Japan. Goes to the Daito Bunku University in Tokyo, where she's studying social sciences. But watch out too for Zhang Deshun, the Chinese, who's 23 years old, just a year older than Sakaya. She has a personal best of 32.12 set this year, so like the Japanese, they're improving in 2019 all the time. Mexican Maria de Jesus Ruiz Acuña picks up her number, just 20 years old, with a personal best that's outside 33.5 minutes. She goes to a university that is halfway between Monterrey and Guadalajara in Mexico. Laura Dickinson, one of the 2 Canadians who is in this race. Just 19 years old. This is her only event at Naples. Goes to Syracuse University in New York State in the USA, which is not that far away from Lake Ontario. Has been to the World Junior Championships as well last year. There's Ruiz Acuña. Ruiz Acuña, 20 years old, but she would be unlikely to really, I think, challenge for the podium. She's got the 9th fastest time in the field on the season list. It's Jenny Nesbitt from the University of Bath. World University Games, she finished 5th in just outside 34 minutes. She has been getting quicker since then, though. Isabel Bat-Doyle, who was at the Universiad last time out as well. Goes to the University of Washington in Seattle on the western seaboard, just down from Vancouver. Big improvement since 2017, where she was 7th in this final in her first major international championships. She was 34.32 back then. She's now nearly 2 minutes faster than that now. Hannah Miller of New Zealand, 21 years old, goes to the Methodist University in Dallas, Southern Methodist University. She was 50 in the 5,000 meters last time out in Taipei. Now going for the longer distance, the Oceania champion at both the 1,500 and 5,000 meters. There is Zhang Deshun, watch out for her. 2nd fastest in the field, the 10,000 meter Asian Games bronze medalist from last year. Bat-Doyle there, and Jia, the other Chinese, 21 years old, who goes to the Tsinghua University that is on the outskirts of Beijing. She did go to the World Cross Country Championships this year, where she finished a long way behind the magnificent run by Helena Beery, who became the first woman to win the senior world titles indoors, outdoors, and at cross country. The World Championships, of course, coming up, run by the IAAF in October this year, which is very late indeed. Oh, a false start. Embarrassment on the inside from the Chinese. Well, I can't say that I've seen a full start in the 10,000 meters very often.
I have to say, fast twitch hardly ever associated with the 10,000 meters.
On your marks. Stand up.
Ancora qualche istante per la partenza di questa finale dei 10.000 donne.
Well, once again, we're having a few problems with the gun. This is something that happened in the very first heat of the 400-meter hurdles for women as we went on the afternoon session earlier.
On your marks.
They didn't manage to get a time there. It took 10 minutes, but we are ready now.
Stand up.
We are not ready now. Well, usually it's the women who are under pressure at the beginning of the race, but the starter here now beginning to feel the heat as well.
On your marks.
So then away we go then. 15 women all up against each other to see who will take the title over from Dara Maslova from Kyrgyzstan, who won this event 2 years ago in Chinese Taipei. She got the bronze in the 5,000 2 years before that, but upgraded to the gold medal in the Far East. Temperature back then was very similar to now, except for the fact that it was an almighty storm that hit the island right at the beginning of that event. Literally a typhoon that was up the coast. The remnants of it hit us. And the interesting thing here as well at the beginning of this event is that the clouds, for the first time since we arrived here in Napoli, have come over. And this is going to be very welcome indeed for these runners, which will just keep them cool through this 25-lap race. Well, at the moment, going in front is the Ugandan Knight Asiru, who goes to the Ndeja University in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Kampala, of course, was the place that hosted the World Cross Country Championships. Not this year, but 2 years ago. And Uganda tasted victory in the men's event in Aarhus this year. Ugandan distance running has been having a little bit of a renaissance over the last few years. They're beginning to find runners who can take on the Kenyans and the Ethiopians, and it's not been easy for them. They're a country that have had success in the Commonwealth Games in the past, but in the World Championships and the Olympic Games, they have had to play second fiddle or even third fiddle to their East African neighbours. The back door there in the colours of Australia, white, green and gold in third place at the moment, with the South African Cholofelo Masigu, who goes to the Tshwane University of Technology in the South African capital, Pretoria. She's going along nicely there. She is in the green, right in front of one of the Japanese runners. At the moment, there's a nice little pace-making job being taken on here by the Ugandan at the front. Siru, who is just 20 years old. She's also entered in the 5,000 metres. She's got the slowest time of anybody in this event, though, which is slightly ironic, bearing in mind she's from Uganda. But we have had Ugandans, the odd Kenyan, the odd Ethiopian as well, who has been in the World University Games, but such are the limits on finance for the African nations that it's a real achievement, to be quite honest with you, to see any of them here at all. She's going along quite nicely at the moment. The Mexican now is moving up. Ruiz Acuna, the 20-year-old, who is the 9th fastest time in the field. She could break 33.5 minutes this year. She has been getting quicker. McDougall at the moment quite content to go at the back, the 20-year-old Canadian. This is her only event. She too has yet to break 33 minutes. That she goes to the Queen's University in Kingston in Canada. She's studying civil engineering. Been to the World Junior Cross Country Championships back in 2015. Juniors race over 6 kilometres, the seniors race over 10. So that's a more useful equation when you take into account 10,000 metres on the track. And cross country has always been a fantastic breeding ground for the great champions on the track. And one of the controversies in recent years has been the way that a lot of the nations, particularly in Europe, have rather overlooked cross-country, and the cross-country really does give them the strength in depth, the stamina, and the course in Aarhus was really congratulated this year for the toughness of it. It was very up and down. There wasn't any way of being able to rest at all. None of these racers were there, but certainly it was a fantastic. The Danes really put on a great show, and some even went as far as saying that it may well have rescued cross-country, because it was the first time we'd actually seen a race that actually looked like a cross-country course. So then it's still going along pretty well. Everybody happy to follow behind the Ugandan Knight Esiru. There she is there at the front in the yellow. Nesbitt has moved up now, the British athlete, onto the shoulder of the leader. Zhang is also well placed as well, the Chinese athlete who was the Asian Games bronze medalist last year. She's won 5 national titles, but she's one of those athletes that does demonstrate the difference in caliber and experience that you get at the World University Games. She will be very much there or thereabouts, you would think, when we get to the sharp end of this course. Second fastest in the field, only Sakuya, the Japanese, has gone quicker, and you can see the Japanese there, the tall figure in the red vest, following on. 21 laps to go then, still very early on, and nobody will really want to sell themselves yet. I'm not sure they would have been expecting these conditions, to be quite honest with you. It's really cooled off, and the wind has got up a little bit. And they will be very grateful, I think, for that. A little bit of a problem there at the back from McDougall. Just clashing with Jia Yuyu, the 21-year-old Chinese girl who is entered in the half marathon as well. She went to the World University Games a couple of years ago, did the Chinese, and ran the half marathon, but unfortunately didn't finish it. Nesbitt, though, going well just in front of the other Chinese. It's not the quickest pace. First sign there of the Ethiopian, Akash Kinetibeb. Ethiopians, of course, their names don't work the same way as everybody else's. Their actual name is their first name, so she's Akash. Her second name is that of her father. And the third name, Menkir, is actually the name of her grandfather, and that's the way it works in Ethiopia. So when you talk about the likes of Kenenisa Bekele, Haile Gebrselassie, then you're actually talking about Haile and that's there as we go back now to the...
And to conclude the 4th round, Konrad Pukawici of Poland goes over the 20-meter line. He holds that finger up. He's had 3. He started with 20.63. He had 3 no-putts coming into the 4th round. 2 no-putts coming into 4th round, and then he just nails this one. And this is very close to 21 meters. So he's happy with that. He's had 2 disasters flopping out of his hand around 18 meters. And they reverse the order in the 4th round. And the distance is just going to come up in a second or 2. But the smile tells the story. 21 meters exactly for the Pole, 5th ranked in the world this year.
Yes, don't forget that he has thrown just 3 centimeters short of 22 meters this season, so he's certainly the class of the field. And we're back to the 10,000 meters, and the Japanese have made their way to the front. Rino Gashima and Nasuki Sakuya, both of them entered in the 10,000 and the 5,000 that we'll see later in the week. And Kashima's an interesting athlete here because she's very much on the rise. She's improved her PBs across the board in 5,000, 10,000 and the half marathon in 2019. Her personal best in this event is 32 and a half minutes. Nesbitt there has just moved out and she's gone for water. And also the Canadian McDougall also moving out to grab a bottle and a sponge. The others keen just to get on with the running. Well, it's always the debate as to whether or not you take the water or not. Of course, you see this very often in marathons, half marathons. It's a fairly modern development in track running. I remember first seeing it in Osaka back in 2007, where the heat humidity was very close to now.
Munoz into the circle for his 5th attempt. He's currently residing in 5th position, but as you can see, he goes over that 20-meter line. Now, this man has been coming out after every effort and going tense. He knows he's going tense, and that's the first time tonight he's just kept his shoulders down, held his position, and you can see by the body language, 20:45. So he jumps up now, and he's in silver medal position after that 4th round attempt of Konrad Bukowici, who threw 21 meters to cement his lead at the top of the competition. But Munoz is after him with one more attempt to go in this shot put for men. So we're staying on that for a second or two. And Bianchetti has been bumped down, so 5th round 1979. He doesn't really change his position with that. He was in 4th, but he's been usurped by the Mexican who jumped into that silver medal position. So Liskovic, who comes after this man, Venancio, they all have a chance in this 5th round to get back up into those medal positions. Well, it's pepper in the line, but to get into the medal zone now, 3rd position held by Andrew Liskovic with 20 meters 17.
17 laps to go in the women's 10,000 meters, and not much has changed so far. We're around about a third of the distance done at the moment, and really nobody has really made an effort to go. You see Sakaya there, who is probably the favourite with the fastest time in the field, is almost jogging backwards, it feels like, at the moment. She's holding herself back, just nearly trips over Nesbitt, and Nesbitt looks behind her with the New Zealander Hannah Miller there looking innocent. Hannah Miller, who was 15th last time out, she'll be looking for a big improvement there on that position she got in the 5,000 metres. She's got a 10,000 metre PB, 33:23, just under this time around, that she ran at the Stanford Invitational back in the 29th of March. Of course, Stanford hosted a Diamond League meeting, whilst Eugene gets a bit of a facelift this season. Sakaya, though, at the moment in front. Nesbitt has been pretty much on the shoulder whoever has been leading for most of this race so far. The Ethiopian looks like she's about to lose her vest.
Well, here we go into the 5th round. So this is the leader with that 21-meter putt in the 4th round. Oh, that's huge. That's huge, just like the pole man himself. He's a big man. He stood up, he put that up into the air, and it just sailed out over 21 meters. That's going to be, it's not going to get near to that 21.97 he set to put him 5th in the world rankings this year, but it certainly cemented his lead at the top of this shot put event for men tonight. So sailed over that 20-meter line that's shown by that box, and the line that goes out into the sector. That's fast. That's a great strike from the floor, and he knows it. Yeah, there you go. There's a man that's happy with his 4th round 21 meters, and now nailed it, 21:54. Wow, what an exhibition of shot putting we're having now from the Pole, who's 5th ranked in the world and silver medalist from 2 years ago. Great throwing by the Polish giant.
Well, Poland have terrific pedigree in this event in throwing. Paweł Fajdek, of course, won his 4th World University Games title in hammer last time out in Taipei. Of course, he's now graduated, so he's no longer in the field, but Bukowiecki there really throwing his hat into the ring, unlike here in the 10,000 meters where no one really has even taken their hat off, never mind thrown it away. It's still very cagey with 15 laps to go. Now, we're not too far away from the halfway stage, 14 minutes there at 4,000 meters. So that means we are on 35-minute pace at the moment. It's a very tactical race indeed. It's funny because 10,000 meters at major championships very often or not is a little bit cagey, even when you've got world-class athletes, until we got to the Olympic Games in Rio, when Almaz Ayana decided to absolutely decimate the field and the world record as well.
E guida la classifica in questo momento per il Giappone, Natsuki Sekia, 31,50 e 17 di personale per lei, l'atleta.
Speaking of Almaz Ayana, incidentally, Ayuki Suzuki, who won this title back in Kazan in 2013, she went on actually from that gold medal to finish 10th in the World Championships the year after Almaz Ayana broke that world record. And she was in Almaz's 5,000-meter semi-final at the Rio Olympics as well. Of course, Almaz was trying to break the world record in that event as well, but got usurped by the little pocket dynamo that is Vivian Chariot in that final. And many people believe that Almaz went off far too fast in the semi-final when she really didn't need to, and she had nothing left for the final. It was just too much work, and she's been injured ever since then, Almaz Ayana. Ayuki Suzuki hasn't quite gone on from the victory in Kazan to really challenge at the top end of the 10,000-meter field. Probably one of the most successful athletes was Dina Drossen of the USA, who's Dina Caster now. Did go on to medal after she took victory in Sicily in 1997, 22 years ago. Here, though, things beginning now to just get a little bit faster. It's an injection of pace at the front by the Chinese, who has finally had enough and has taken it up. Zhang Deshun, who knows that she needs to push this on, the woman who will be challenging Sakaya at the end, we think, the two fastest women in the field, and the two Japanese working together to follow her. But the Ethiopian is also going well as well, in 4th place, the young Akash Kinyatibeb. And it has to be said that even if they do finish in 35 minutes, that will still be enough for a massive personal best for the young Ethiopian. So she will be very keen to keep this going. First signs, though, of a race beginning to develop. You can see they're all the way down now to single file. Zhang Deshun leads at the moment. The two Japanese are right behind her. And at the moment, Rino Goshima, 21 years old, and Natsuki Sakia, who's 1 year older than her, just still not challenging for the lead. They're still happy to just follow on in the wake of the Chinese athlete. And behind them, Hannah Miller, who is a veteran of World University Games, is in 4th place. There's the Canadian girl at the back still. Miller there, the tall silver fern in the silver vest, looking very comfortable. Nesbitt's about as far back as she's been in the race so far, the British athlete on the outside. So Australians haven't shown themselves so far. Isabel Bat-Doyle and her teammate behind her, who is Claire O'Brien. And again, it's just slowed up a little bit, and they've all backed off, and it will allow the others to come back. You see the Mexican Ruiz Acuña being given some encouragement to get back in with the pack after she'd lost touch after that injection of pace from the Chinese girl at the front, who is moving into the stride as if she's a pacemaker. What is going on here? There she is, she's going off for the drinks. Sensible, really, gets a sponge. I was expecting her to put it on her head, but she's just tried wetting and cooling off her hands. So then Miller goes in front, the Kiwi. It's her second global championships after she was 15th in the half distance, the 5,000 meters in Chinese Taipei. 2017 was a year when she really did improve. She had PBs tumbling all over the place in her first year outside New Zealand. And at the moment, she has gone in front. So the Chinese, I think, was just trying to keep the pace a little bit honest, but wasn't really making the move to try and break the others, with 11 laps to go then. 83-second lap, so we are still on a pace that's outside. Well, they've just quickened it up a bit there, because 80 seconds per lap would get you to around about 33.5 minutes by the end of this race. So they have speeded up a little bit, but you can see, though, the way they've just sort of packed up again, that the pace has disappeared once again. Dickinson just going out to get the sponge this time, the second Canadian. Second youngest in the field, only the Ethiopian Akash Kinitebeb is younger than the 19-year-old, who is in her only event, as far as we are aware, here in Naples. So the first gold medal in athletics has gone to Poland. They carry on their magnificent legacy in throwing events here. No change yet, though, in the 10,000 meters. Hannah Miller still pacing it out at the moment. Well, the Westerners, I suppose you have to say, have come to the fore. The New Zealander, the Brit Nesbitt, and the Canadian Dickinson leading at the moment. Oh, and Zhang Jiaxun, who was leading early on. She had the first injection of pace around about 5 laps ago, but has just dropped out to 5th place and nearly fell. I think she just caught the back of Nesbitt's heels, but just about managed to stay on her feet. Hannah Miller here is pumping out the laps at the moment, and she is doing very well at the moment if she can keep this going. We are heading into the last third of this race, and you still have to say they've just been feeling themselves out, really. There's no real proper attack. It's all sort of just posturing, positioning.
Far from me to comment on the women's 10,000 meters race, which is a little alien for me. They are incredibly well bunched for a race of this nature, and it won't come down to who's got the best lungs here tonight. It'll be the one that actually has got the best finishing burst. And the fascination for me, Angus, is when that person decides to go. And you can go, as far as I can remember watching these races over the year, you can go with 800 meters to go to slow burn it and improve the pace. But if you can go with it and then go in that last 70, 80, 90, 100 meters, then other people really don't have a chance if you've got the burners in you.
Well, the laps they've been pumping out are pretty consistent, pretty much around about 80 seconds per lap. If that had been since the beginning, you'd be looking at 33.5 minutes, but we'll probably be outside that because of the slow pedestrian nature of the first 12.5 laps, the first 5,000 meters. Nevertheless, Hannah Miller now trying to draw some of the kick out of the other women behind her as she now makes a concerted attempt there. Little look up, there's a big screen up in that corner of the track where she can just have a little look and see what's going on behind her, and she'll know that they are all just sitting on her shoulder, waiting. So then Jie Yu just moving up, the 21-year-old. Zango there as well, who had that little bit of a break and is now just moving back for around about 800 meters. Shot put, but the Chinese is now back up into the front three. dropping back a little bit. Sixth at the moment. Nesbitt, though, has been pretty well placed all the way through. She's never been on the curve since the start. She's always been either running in lane 2 or along that line on the edge of lane 1. She's just moving out. I don't think she's going to grab some water this time around. There you go. There's been a lot of water drunks at this championships. The temperature's up to the late 30s. But I do emphasise again, on this first night of athletics, the temperature has really dropped, which is great for these girls.
And not only that, but it's evident from the flags that are around the stadium that, you know, there is a slight breeze down at floor level. So at track level, they may not be feeling it because of the heat they're generating from within their bodies running this race. But there is a slight breeze to help them cool down.
So then Xia, the second Chinese, is now finding the pace a little too hot to handle, and she has dropped off the back of this pack of around about 10 girls as they come through with 5 laps to go. 2,000 metres now between them and the end of the race. Just gone through 8,000 metres in 27 minutes and 50-odd seconds. So they have just pumped it up a bit. It's going to be underneath 35 now, thanks to this injection of pace from Hannah Miller in this second half of the race. And you can see there one of the Australians now dropping off the back as well. Things just beginning to get a little more serious. It's not a real injection of pace, it's just a gradual winding up here by Hannah Miller. McDougall there's where she's been pretty much since the start of the race, clinging onto the back of the important part of the race. O'Brien there of Australia dropping off the back as well. She's the latest to get ditched. And Bat Doyle there, the other Australian, is in danger of dropping off herself. Nesbitt too now suddenly finds the pace getting a little bit too hot for her as well, and she is at the back now. That's the furthest back that the young British girl has been since the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and this is, at this stage, this is where you have to grit your teeth and you find out who are the tough competitors and the ones that have that high level of resilience despite the pressure that's coming on now. And you have to say, training backgrounds, working and training in the heat, certainly coming into this championships, you can't really train to cope with the humidity. You just have to get out there and get used to that. But in terms of the heat, you can run in heat and put yourself in a position where it's uncomfortable to do effort like this.
Well, they're just going past the Romanian Andreea Alina Piscu of Romania, who will be looking towards the half marathon now, later in the week. But it's the two women we expected to be at the front who are at the moment. It's the Chinese Zhang Deshun, who is following in the track spike marks of Natsuki Sakuya, the 22-year-old Japanese, and the 23-year-old Chinese now back at the front. But the Japanese also have Goshima as well in a good position, and the Ethiopian, I'm very impressed with her at the moment with a very slow PB. This is a very good run from her. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from her. More often than not, you have to say that the East Africans that come here to this event don't generally really star. They're not the big names. But this is a good run from the youngster from Ethiopia, who is Akash Kinetibeb. She's in 4th place at the moment.
Well, and if she's not expected to do well, then you can almost hope that she's just sitting, and she looks incredibly comfortable. I'm just looking at body posture and how they're holding themselves together at this stage of the race. And you have to say the Ethiopian looks as comfortable as any of them, to be honest.
I have to say that what's most comfortable for me, though, is definitely the Japanese at the front. She looks as though she's been jogging since the beginning, and nothing really has changed there. Lovely economical stride, and she is, well, she's been pretty much dictating, I think, through just choosing her tactics, to be quite honest with you. She allowed Hannah Miller to go in front after she took up the pace. We saw Zhang take up the pace a little bit just after halfway, and Zhang there just goes up onto the shoulder of Sakuya just to let her know that she's there and she's serious. Hannah Miller now, she's done her work, but unfortunately for the New Zealander, I think she now is going to be struggling. The 21-year-old who was 15th last time out in the 5,000. This is perhaps a little bit long for her.
And you have to say the Canadians looking reasonably comfortable. You know, for somebody fair-skinned like this in these sort of conditions, she's done particularly well to hold a position back there in around 5th position.
Yeah, Laura Dickinson, 19 years old as well. She ran the steeplechase in the World Junior Championships last year. So she's got some range, and now suddenly we're getting another charge. McDougall now goes round the outside. The Canadian hits the front. Inside the last 1,000 metres, and the Canadian is going for it here. Zhang is trying to go with her, and Sakaya, from being comfortable, suddenly looks a little bit stretched. Goshima right behind her as well. The Japanese trying to keep on her shirt tails. But this is a very courageous burst by McDougall. Brianna McDougall, 20 years old, goes to the Queen's University in Kingston, Canada. 33.25 minutes is her personal best. So this is well within her range, and at the moment she's beginning to stretch it out. Zhang has gone with her, but the two Japanese suddenly, from looking comfortable, are now working hard.
And you have to say the Canadian in the front doesn't look particularly comfortable with a head roll, but she's hanging on in there, and she's gone very early, so she's got to be worried that she doesn't get ahead here and give herself some space between 2nd and 3rd and 4th position, as it is with that.
The bell goes, McDougall has it, but Zhang goes past her now. The rather Paula Radcliffe-type running from the Canadian is not going to help her here. Zhang goes in front, but McDougall is hanging on to her. The two Japanese at the moment fighting it out for bronze unless they can come back into it. Sakaya, who was the fastest woman in the field, is now beginning to pull back McDougall, and McDougall's brave run for a medal may be about to disappear. She's still clinging on to it, but Zhang is away. The Chinese out in front. And here comes the Japanese, though, and it's going to be the second one, Goshima, who goes past. McDougall is not going to get a medal. It's a brave run from her, but unfortunately, she just doesn't have the speed. It's between China and Japan, though. The Far East will fight it out for gold. Zhang goes again. Zhang hits the front again. Little look up. She may well have got it. Goshima trying to hang on, but it looks as though she's not going to come back. Zhang is going to come away. And the woman we expected to be fighting it out for this first women's gold medal is indeed going to take it. China are going to take the first gold medal of the women's competition in athletics. Japan take the silver and the bronze, but the fastest woman in the field, Sakaya, will have to make do with the lowest step on the podium. It's gold, though, for Zhang Deshun, and that is a fantastic run from the woman who goes to the Tianjin Normal University. Well, she pushed it earlier on in the race, and then she took a big gap until the last part of the race, and then she went at the bell, and she needed to do it more than once as well. One burst was not enough. However, she needed 3 in the end, but third one was definitely enough, and she came through in the last 100 metres to win that pretty comfortably in the end. And McDougall, unfortunately for her, very brave. I admire her tactics. She didn't have the speed at the end, so she tried to draw out the sprint kick from the Chinese. It didn't quite work. Nesbitt there, the British girl, is out on her feet, as indeed are quite a few of the runners, including Sakaya there, who got the bronze. It's tough conditions, even with the sun having gone behind the clouds. I mean, it looks as though it's going to be a thunderstorm at any moment. But that was lightning on the track there from Zhang.
It was good, and it was all set up by the Canadian bravely, as you're suggesting here, going out with about 1,000 metres to go. Couldn't quite hang on, but she made the race. She actually had a go, wasn't frightened to have a go, set it up a little bit for the Chinese and the Japanese, but all credit to her for making the race, as it turned out, into a great race.
So then confirmation of Zhang then taking the gold medal ahead of Rino Goshima of Japan, who came through to beat her more fancied Japanese teammate Natsuki Sakiya. It's a far eastern sweep of the medal podium. Well, we can see there Knight Asiru, or rather, excuse me, let me get this around the right way. It's the Romanian who's coming in, of course. Andrea Elina Piscu. Got lapped, but she is the last one to come home. The winning time 34.03. You can see how the second half of that race was quite a bit quicker than the first half of the race. The two Japanese celebrating, Rino Kashima and Natsuki Sakuya. Well, they got away at the beginning, and it was a pretty slow pace, even though the Ugandan took it out and led for quite a bit of that, but around about halfway she disappeared backwards and was not really seen again. Straight away, Sakuya and her Japanese teammate Kashima tried to dictate the pace, but nobody really wanted to lead in that early part of the race except for the Ugandan. Sakuya finally hit the front with Zhang in the second half of the race before McDougall went for it with around 800 metres to go, but right here on the bell was when Zhang went for it, and McDougall just didn't have the pace to go with her. But it wasn't over. She still had to beat off Kashima's challenge around that final bend, but Zhang came away to take the title. China haven't taken this title very much, so it is a real welcome title for them. Well, that turned out into a cracking race in the end. It's the last of the finals on day one. Tomorrow, though, we will see the decathlon start off with 100 metres, and that will carry on all through the day. But here, it is Zhang Deshun who has taken the first women's gold medal of the 2019 World University Games on the 60th anniversary of this magnificent event, the first of which took place in Turin in 1959. 2019 has got off to an explosive start, and we're not just talking about Vesuvius. From us, though, it's thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.